programs offer many languages. Please visit suprememastertv.com/schedule.
We have it in our power to perfect ourselves, and by, to transform ourselves completely. But this transformation must take place in the innermost self, in the mental life. The disciple must altogether banish from his consciousness all thoughts of disrespect, of criticism, and he must endeavor straightway to cultivate thoughts of devotion. Please watch on for the reflective spiritual insights of Dr. Rudolf Steiner.
Guten Tag, noble viewers. Guten Tag means good day in German, the official language of Austria. I'm Maria. The authentic people of Austria wish you many beneficial opportunities for your ever-expanding spiritual awakening. May you be blessed. Born in 1861, Dr. Rudolf Steiner was a great Austrian polymath, a philosopher and scientist who made influential contributions in the fields of education, science, spirituality, and medicine. He is perhaps best known for pioneering the holistic educational methods for the Waldorf schools. An eloquent public speaker and gifted writer, he gave over 6,000 lectures in his lifetime and gained recognition as a literary critic. His writings cover a wide range of subjects, and he published more than 25 books, including Mysticism at the Dawn of the Modern Age, The Way of Initiation, and Intuitive Thinking as a Spiritual Path, a Philosophy of Freedom. He developed and taught an esoteric spiritual philosophy called anthroposophy, based on the science of the spirit. Today, we'll read a passage from Dr. Rudolf Steiner's book, The Way of Initiation, in which he shares his deep inner realizations on how we're all capable of discovering the inner knowledge and treasures of the Spirit. How to attain knowledge of the higher worlds. Now, the important thing that everyone must clearly understand is that for him, who is right in the midst of the objective civilization of our time, it is very difficult to advance to the knowledge of the higher worlds. He can do so only if he works energetically within himself. At a time when the conditions of outward life were simpler, spiritual exaltation was easier of attainment. That which ought to be venerated, that which should be kept holy, stood out in better relief from the ordinary things of the world. In a period of criticism, these ideals are much lowered. Other emotions take the place of awe, veneration, respect, and prayer. Our own age continually pushes these better emotions further and further back, so that in the daily life of the people, they play but a very small part. He who seeks for higher knowledge must create it within himself. He himself must instill it into his soul. It cannot be done by study. It can only be done through living. He who wishes to become a disciple must therefore assiduously cultivate the devotional mood. Everywhere in his environment, he must look for that which demands of him admiration and homage. Whenever his duties or circumstances permit, he should try to abstain entirely from all criticism or judgment. If I meet a brother and blame him for his weakness, I rob myself of power to win the higher knowledge. But if I try to enter lovingly into his merits, I then gather such power. The disciple should seek to benefit both himself and others. Experienced occultists are aware how much they owe to the continual searching for the good in all things and the withholding of all harsh criticism. This must be not only an external rule of life, but it must take possession of the innermost part of our souls. We have it in our power to perfect ourselves, and by to transform ourselves completely. But this transformation must take place in the innermost self, in the mental life. It is not enough that I show respect only in my outward bearing toward a person. I must have this respect in my thought. The disciple must begin by drawing this devotion into his thought life. He must altogether banish from his consciousness all thought of disrespect, of criticism, and he must endeavor straightway to cultivate thoughts of devotion. Every moment in which we set ourselves to banish from our consciousness whatever remains in it of disparaging, suspicious judgment of our fellow men, brings us nearer to the knowledge of higher things. And we rise rapidly when in such moments we fill our consciousness with only those thoughts that evoke admiration, respect, and veneration for men and things. He who has experience in these matters will know that in every such moment powers are awakened in men which otherwise would remain dormant. In this way the spiritual eyes of a man are opened. He begins to see things around him which hitherto he was unable to perceive. He begins to understand that hitherto he had seen only a part of the world around him. The man with whom he comes in contact now shows him quite a different aspect from that which he showed before. Of course, through this single rule of life, he will not yet be able to see what has elsewhere been described as the human aura, because for that a still higher training is necessary. But he may rise to that higher development if he has previously had a thorough training in devotion. Noiseless and unnoticed by the outer world is the following of the path of discipleship. It is not necessary that anyone should observe a change in the disciple. He performs his duties as hitherto. He attends to his business as usual. The transformation goes on only in the inner part of the soul, hidden from outward sight. At first, the entire soul life of a man is flooded by this fundamental spring of devotion for everything which is truly venerable. His entire soul life finds in this devotional mood its pivot. Just as the sun, through its rays, will vivify everything living, so in the life of the disciple, this reverence vivifies all the perceptions of the soul. At first, it is not easy for people to believe that feelings like reverence, respect, and so forth have anything to do with their perceptions. This comes from the fact that one is inclined to think of perception as a faculty quite by itself, one that stands in no relation to what otherwise happens in the soul. In so thinking, we do not remember that it is the soul which perceives, and feelings are for the soul what food is for the body. If we give the body stones in place of bread, its activity will cease. It is the same with the soul. Veneration, homage, devotion are as nutriment which makes it healthy and strong, especially strong for the activity of perception. Disrespect, antipathy, and underestimation bring about the starvation and the withering of this activity. For the occultist, this fact is visible in the aura. A soul which harbors the feelings of devotion and reverence brings about a change in its aura. Certain yellowish, red, or brown-red tints will vanish, and tints of bluish-red will replace them. And then the organ of perception opens. It receives information of facts in its environment, of which it hitherto had no knowledge. Reverence awakens a sympathetic power in the soul, and through this we attract similar qualities in the beings which surround us, that would otherwise remain hidden. More effective still is that power which can be obtained by devotion, when another feeling is added. One learns to give up oneself less and less to the impressions of the outer world, and to develop in its place a vivid inward life. He who darts from one impression of the outer world to another, who constantly seeks dissipations, cannot find the way to occultism. Neither should the disciple blunt himself to the outer world, but let his rich inner life point out the direction in which he ought to lend himself to its impressions. When passing through a beautiful mountain district, the man with depth of soul and richness of emotion has different experiences from the man with few emotions. Only what we experience within ourselves reveals the beauties of the outer world. One man sails across the ocean, and only a few inward experiences pass through his soul, but another will then hear the eternal language of the world spirit, and for him are unveiled the mysteries of creation. Treasured viewers, we were happy to be in your presence on today's Words of Wisdom. Coming up next is Marc Chagall, artist, dreamer, and innovator, part 2 of 2. Right after noteworthy news, please stay tuned to Supreme Master Television for more uplifting programming. May your spiritual devotion bring you to a complete knowing of your divine self.
Our programs offer many languages. Please visit suprememastertv.com/schedule and suprememastertv.com/WOW.
Nos programmes offrent plusieurs langues. Veuillez visiter suprememastertv.com/schedule et suprememastertv.com/WOW.
Nuestros programas ofrecen varios idiomas. Visiten suprememastertv.com/schedule e suprememastertv.com/WOW.
Nossos programas oferecem vários idiomas. Acesse suprememastertv.com/schedule e suprememastertv.com/WOW.